What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Lifting Nomad. My name is Alex. We're still in beautiful Buenos Aires, Argentina. Today I want to talk about how to be productive while working. I've worked in some interesting spaces. I'm in a new apartment, as you can see now. I was actually supposed to be in Lima, Peru, but due to all the protests, I decided to stay another month here in Buenos Aires. So unfortunately, no Lima trip for me this year, but hopefully next time get to go to Machu Picchu, all of that good stuff. But today I've moved around, I've lived in different places, I've worked out of kitchens and bedrooms and co-works and bars and cafes, and I've always managed to keep like a semi-decent routine. So I want to share like what I do, how I stay productive, no matter where I'm working from. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so I've seen a lot of people try and work in different places with different setups, and I think one of the biggest mistakes that I see people doing is they try to keep this like ultra comfortable, like bougie setup at home, and then when they work abroad or where they work somewhere else and they lose that setup, they don't really seem as efficient, as productive naturally, right? If you're at home and you have two like 38-inch wide monitors, you've got like the 4K webcam, the studio mic, the $1,500 chair, the standing desk, all those things are amazing, don't get me wrong, but when you're trying to be a nomad, those comforts can kind of get you into a place where you get so complacent with the ergonomics and the bouginess of your home setup that when you travel somewhere else, it makes it extremely uncomfortable. And then for the first like few weeks, you're getting adjusted, you're trying to get used to your new setup, your new surroundings, your new like laptop, whatever it is. So it can be difficult because you're in such a drastic environment. So an easy way to fix that is my advice, like before you start traveling, let's say you have a 3-month trip or 1-month trip you have planned up ahead, before you leave, the month or 2 months before you leave, set up your home office to be as close to the office you're gonna have while you're away. So really quickly, if we, like literally this is my setup no matter where I am. So if I'm back home in Canada, I have my MacBook, I have a laptop stand, I have my AirPods, my Magic Mouse, and my Magic Keyboard over here. This is like a really shitty chair and a shitty desk in like the kitchen of my Airbnb. But because I'm not because this is the exact same setup I would have at home, I don't get spoiled. That way when I travel, I'm not uncomfortable. Like this is the exact same setup I was working from my home office. Obviously I had a nicer chair and like the standing desk, but I was like, in terms of truly like just the computer and everything, it was the exact same setup. And this setup I can easily take to any other Airbnb I'm at, any co-working, any hostel. If I'm on like a patio, I can pretty easily just don't take the stand, take the computer, and work just as efficiently. So the couple months before you leave, try and adjust your setup and your surroundings so that it's a little bit less comfortable in a way, but it's similar to what you're gonna be using when you're traveling abroad. That way, when you do get where you're going, you can easily just, turn on your laptop, open it up, set up your keyboard and mouse, and you're off and running. Second thing that I think a lot of people miss when they go traveling and they're working remote or being a digital nomad and they affect their productivity is understanding that you are not on holiday, you are working. It's really easy to get sucked into the temptation, especially if you're doing like remote year, like a group travel, or you're staying in like a Selena, a hostel, and you're trying to work. There's a lot of people who are gonna be there who are on true holiday. They are not working. So it's easy to fall into that temptation trap of like the pub crawls every night and like people sitting around the bars every night and like the hostel lobby, like people are talking about going out for dinner and then drinking and going out. You need to understand you are not on holiday. You are working, and that priority needs to be in your head from day one. So when you're in these places and you're in exotic locations and you're meeting people, make sure they understand and you have those boundaries set up so that you know, okay, throughout the week, I need to work, I need to put in the hours to fund this whole lifestyle. And then on the weekends, I can explore, and at night, I can enjoy myself, but work needs to come first. And there's definitely, like my first few times doing this, candidly in Portugal, I was transitioning between roles, and it was, like I just partied all the time. It was literally, I was there for almost 2 months and I was drinking almost every single day. I went to the Algarve for a weekend. I was in Porto for 2 weeks doing like pub crawls and wine tours. But because I was between jobs, it didn't really affect me because I didn't need to work. But now this trip where I'm like an extended time in South America, I'm not on holiday, right? I need to be productive. I need to be functional. And that way when I'm, throughout the week, I'm able to actually produce and do my job effectively even though I'm not in like an office back in Canada. So that's like a really, really important thing to understand, I think, is if you are not on holiday, you shouldn't be acting like you're on holiday. Going out every single night, spending all that money. That's the other thing, like the actual cost effectiveness of this. Like a big reason I do this lifestyle is because I can come down here and save money during the winters when it's brutal in Canada, and then easily go back home in the summer when the weather picks back up and live like a kind of normal life. But throughout the winter in Canada, it's so depressing. The seasonal depression is absolutely awful. It's so gray all day long. The sun's up from like 9 a.m. until maybe 4 p.m. But then even then it's just gray and cold and sad all the time. So I love Canada, don't get me wrong, but the winters were horrible. So I decided to take a different approach to it. But I am not on holiday, so I can't act like it. I can't be traveling all the time. And I see people like doing these weekend trips, to different cities and different countries while they're doing the nomad life. And it can definitely work and have fun, but I think at the same time it seems exhausting. Like for me, I go to a place to home base. I go to different countries to get out of the cold, set up a warm home base where I can work and live my life effectively. And then when I'm bored, let's say, or I do have time on the weekends, I can make a trip and travel somewhere. But every single weekend, I think it's exhausting. Like I need to be focused. I need to be working. I need to be focused on the gym. I need to be training. And if I'm changing countries, changing locations every single weekend, it's just not going to happen as well as you think. Third thing that I see a lot of people forgetting to do while they're abroad, while they're somewhere else traveling, is setting a routine. No matter where I am in the world, no matter what I'm doing, my morning is almost always the same. I wake up, walk around, do a little stretch, hopefully get outside. I have a balcony right behind the camera right now. Where I go out, get outside, get some sun right on my face, get some fresh air. Then I have breakfast, almost always, no matter where I am, it's the same thing. In this kitchen right now, I have protein, I have oats, I have sugar-free almond milk, peanut butter, and blueberries. I usually use some kind of berries with like a protein oats, 60 to 75 grams. I eyeball it, I've done it so many damn times now. Mix it all together, and that's my breakfast every single day. Eat that while I usually just kind of take a moment and breathe. Really, I try and focus on my mornings and get my mind right. Eat breakfast, then I'll usually knock back a pre-workout, have my supplements, and then head to the gym. Then I'll work out for an hour, do 30 minutes of cardio, stretch, and I'm done. Pretty much the same no matter where I am in the world, I'm doing that. So that routine for me really stabilizes and grounds me, because when you're going to new places all the time, and I'm sure people will agree, you get kind of disconnected and you feel lonely, right? When you show up to a new city, if you're especially solo traveling, you get there, you don't know anyone, you don't have like a regular coffee shop you can go to, you don't have normal things you can do every single day that make you feel like you're at home, you don't have like a support circle, potentially you don't even speak the language. Like now my Spanish is decent, but when I was in Colombia, I was horrible and I was just like an idiot walking around not knowing what to do. And it can be scary, it can be a daunting task to do it. But when you have that stability of, okay, no matter where I am, I know I can get like protein, oats, and almond milk, ideally sugar-free. If not, I'll just drink regular milk, it's not that big a deal. Those three things you can get pretty much anywhere in the world. So I can eat that, mixed with some kind of fruit, and I can go to a gym. Every single country, every single city has all these things, it's nothing crazy. And it lets me kind of get that feeling of, this is what I have when I'm back at my mom's in Canada. This is what I have when I'm at home with my family. And then I go to the gym, and the gyms, no matter where you are, a weight is a weight. Sometimes it's gonna be kilos or pounds. It's actually really easy to figure out once you understand 2.2. It's just not that big of a deal. You can figure it out and get that sense of being somewhere and familiarity that grounds you. And then once you have that routine of, okay, now I've got my morning routine, I've got my breakfast, I got my lift, I'm vibing, then you can find like a nice little coffee shop maybe in your neighborhood that has good coffee, somewhere that's refreshing. You start to see the same people over the first week, then that routine becomes kind of like a home feeling, right? Immediately you start to feel like, okay, I'm seeing the same person every single day. I'm maybe learning a few salutations. Like here in Argentina, they usually say buenas for like good morning, good day. So you walk in the same coffee shop, you see the same person, you say buenas, you order the same coffee, you sit down, you start to see some of the same faces in your neighborhood. It starts to kind of tear down those walls of feeling like you're an outsider and that you don't belong, and you start to feel like maybe this is someplace that I could call home eventually. So those are my 3 things I see people doing wrong when they're digital nomading. Opportunities for improvement. Of course, my system is not perfect, don't get me wrong. I'm always learning and always trying to improve the system, but it seems like I'm getting better at it each time I do one of these trips. So that's gonna be the video there. Hope this was somewhat useful to hear what I do to keep my routine no matter where I am in the world, how I go about staying productive, staying effective, and keeping things on track. So hopefully this video was useful. If it was, feel free to leave a comment in the section below. As always, helps the algorithm. But My name's Alex. Welcome back to Lifting Nomad. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.